What's up, guys? Matt Brown here for thelines.com, playpicks.com, joined by Brad Allen, and here we go. It is the time. It is Super Bowl 55. We are only 2 days away. Our final thoughts, our final picks, everything that we have going on in our accounts, anything we're looking at, all the angles, everything that we can bring you right here in this video. We'll keep it short. We won't drag on, but we do want to give you everything that's going on with us. If you want to follow Brad on the Twitter machine, you can at Brad Allen NFL. You want to follow me at Matt Brown M2. And while you're here, of course, hit that subscribe button down below. Go ahead and give us a thumbs up, and then let us know in the comment section what you're doing with this game. What are your bets? What's your favorite bet? What's a bet that you made that you hate already? I think I might even have one of those in my account. So we're going to run through all of that stuff, and we're going to start right now. Brad, let's kick things off here with the injury report. Coming out of Thursday's practice, we're taping this early on Friday morning, so we don't have Friday practice report yet. But coming out of the Chiefs side of things, I think the thing that's kind of jumping off the page, and this is something that, we'll monitor, but everybody just assumed that Sammy Watkins was going to be back for this game for the Chiefs. He is now limited practice 2 days in a row. Again, we don't have the injury report for Friday quite yet, but he has not gotten in a full practice yet, even with the extra week in between the Super Bowl and all of that. So I think everyone was just kind of, and me included, was just kind of assuming Sammy Watkins was definitely going to be back, but certainly something to monitor is that practice report coming out on Friday to see if it changes at all. If he's still limited, I mean, we're talking about a calf injury for a wide receiver, not only a calf injury for a wide receiver, but one that kept him out of multiple games to end the season. So this thing might be more serious than maybe even I was imagining.
Yes, so that I mean, a lot of people expected him to play in the first two rounds of the playoffs as well, and then for whatever reason he didn't. So it's definitely not a slam dunk, and obviously he's probably more important for props. There's going to be you'd expect him to be kind of the third most popular target for Mahomes, and so that's going to have a big cascade effect if he doesn't go, and even if he does go. We don't know exactly how limited he'll be. Just reading the PFF injury expert, they expect him to play. No real comment on how effective he'll be, unfortunately.
On the Bucs side of things, the big thing that jumped off the page yesterday was the role reversal of two different players. First being Cameron Brate being listed as a limited participant in practice, popping up on the injury report with a back injury, which was not something that had been listed before. So that is interesting. And then also Antonio Brown listed as a full participant. So again, those shenanigans with the coaches and their reporting where just 2 days ago, we had Bruce Arians saying that it was a long shot. He still has a long way to go for Antonio Brown to play full practice on Thursday. A couple of the other names that we've been monitoring that, again, only getting in limited practices. Friday will be a big judge as to how we think these guys are going to go. But Levante David, limited practice. Jordan Whitehead, limited practice. And Antoine Winfield, limited practice as well for this Bucs team.
Yeah, I mean, well, you got two safeties there and the best coverage linebacker on the Bucs there. So they're key players. Levante David was saying this week, like, we're taking it day to day. I'm listening to the coaching staff. So it's definitely not a slam dunk that they're all going to be in there. So that is definitely worth monitoring. And then the Brate thing, I think, to be added to the injury report. Normally if you see an NFL player added like on the day of the game, suddenly they're downgraded to questionable. That normally means they're not going to play because why else would you add them to the report? So definitely not a good thing for Brate, and obviously that's got a knock-on effect for Gronkowski targets and props as well.
Yeah, that is where we'll definitely make the correlation to that here in just a little bit. Brad, listen, the weather is something that has been started to, everyone's talking about it right now. If you just go to the generic weather sites out there, they're saying, a chance of thunderstorms or high chance of thunderstorms, stuff like that. I've seen a couple of weathermen out there who look at these advanced models, and they're looking at, the most predictive things on the planet, and they're saying people are overreacting to this, that, there's actually a decent chance that it doesn't rain at all, that it could be clear for the game. You and I have talked about this, time and time again on the podcast all season long, but I do want to bring it up yet again. we're not all that worried about rain anyway, right? And like, it's really, when it comes down to it, it's all about wind, and that really affects, the passing games, how effective they can be and stuff like that. But, even if there is a little bit of rain in this game, does that change how you view your handicap at all?
Potentially, maybe that would favour the Bucs, but the last report I saw from a weatherman I trust was there should be no real impact on the game whatsoever from the weather. So that's the working assumption now, and I guess we'll have to reevaluate if anything changes. But no change for me currently.
So let's look at the lines here across the board, because I think that weather news did actually affect the total here a little bit. We got the total, ticking down a half a point, a full point at FanDuel. So we are sitting 56 at DraftKings. We're 56 at PointsBet, but we're at 55.5 over at FanDuel, Brad. And I think people saw this weather report that it might rain and ran to bet the under for this game. I expect overreactions a lot of times from the public to news, but I mean, for there just being a chance of rain to run and bet the under, I don't agree with that stance in this at all. And so, again, I'm always just more worried about wind than I am anything else when it comes to these totals. And so, pretty interesting, though. But the total, 56, 55.5, again, like I said, at FanDuel, it is 3 across the board outside of Bet 365 is at 3.5 right now. Plus money if you want the minus 3.5 on the Chiefs. Plus 3.5, of course, going to cost you, a little bit of juice on the Bucs, but 3 across the board as we sit, and 56, 55.5. Do you think that total move was based off of people getting this like kind of very early weather report and overreacting?
Yeah, it's possible. I've also spoken to a couple of the model men, the math men this week, and I think the general consensus is that this would be close to kind of 54.5 if there was no if it wasn't the Super Bowl, and probably just pumped up a touch. So it might have just been some of that kind of algorithm money coming in there, and again, you wouldn't be surprised to see this tick back up to 55.5, 56 as A, the public gets involved, and B, people realise it is going to be clear.
Yeah, if you do want the under, I talked to Johnny Avello last night, and he, of course, runs DraftKings Sportsbook. I asked him, I said, hey, Johnny, I've seen this thing tick down. Are we assuming that just like every Super Bowl in the history of all Super Bowls, we're going to get this thing tick up again once the public starts actually putting their money in play? And he's like, yeah, if you want the under, he said, I would wait for sure. I believe that this thing definitely gets back to 56.5, and just depending on how popular this game becomes, might even could tick to 57. Just depend. I mean, they're in a bunch of new jurisdictions this year, so they don't really know exactly how much money is going to pour in for the Super Bowl and all that. So he's like, definitely it'll get back to 56.5, and he said he wouldn't even surprise him if it got to 57. So again, if you do want the under, I would hold out there. One of the things we also have is the money line, and the money line sitting right now on this game, minus 159, your best price on the Chiefs, which is right now at DraftKings. You can get plus 145 at Bet 365, plus 144 at FanDuel if you like the Bucs. Now, Brad, this is one of the interesting scenarios. The Super Bowl plays out a little bit differently than a lot of these other football games throughout the rest of the season, where if you want to bet the money line, the value actually comes if you wait up until basically the last minute to bet the money line, because most casual bettors like to put down a little to win a lot. They certainly don't like to put down more money than they win. And so money line bets typically fall on the dog side with the casual general public, and it creates a bunch of value on the money line for the favorite. So kind of, again, if you're looking for the Chiefs on the money line, I would suggest waiting until, even a couple of hours before the game, if you're able to bet mobily or on a computer or something like that. If you have to physically go in, that might not work for you as well. But definitely holding out, at least traditionally, in all most Super Bowls leading into this one, that's been the profitable play for a money line bet.
Yes, Generally, I would agree with you, but I'm also, like you, I'm sure, getting all these emails from the books all week telling us about their liabilities and where the money's coming in, and they all seem very, very heavy on the Chiefs. But yeah, it is mainly Chiefs -3 because, as you say, the public doesn't want to lay extra juice. So yeah, you do get that kind of synthetic, 1 or 2% edge come game day. Yeah.
So let's go ahead and start breaking this thing down here, and let's start with the Chiefs offense versus the Bucs defense. I mean, we have the advanced numbers, and we can run through those really quick for everybody, where we're talking about a Chiefs offense that was number 2 overall DVOA. It was number 5 overall according to Pro Football Focus. As you would imagine, the pass offense right up there at the top, 2 overall DVOA, 5 overall PFF. Rush offense actually a little bit more efficient than I think most people would give it credit for. It just wasn't one of those things that they use or utilize very often. But, PFF had them 10 overall. DVOA had them 13 overall as far as rush efficiency. And then on the defensive side for the Bucs and how they match up against this Kansas City offense, they were one of the very best defenses all season long. 5 overall according to DVOA, 5 overall according to PFF. Number 5 against the pass, DVOA. Number 1 against the run, DVOA. Number 4 against the pass, according to Pro Football Focus. If you look at their pressure rate, they were number 2 in the league as far as getting pressure on the quarterback. We're talking about sacks. They were 4th overall in the league. They were 5th in pass rush win rate, number 2 overall in run stop win rate. So, Brad, there was a little bit of a lull there in the middle of the season where I think maybe the team was just wearing down. They were one of the very last teams to get a bye as it was in the NFL season. And you actually, Tom Brady actually even came out and said it. He said, I think that bye hit us right at the exact perfect time. We needed the rookies to kind of get a breath, and we needed some of these veteran guys to get a breath as well. And they really kind of on defense turned it around a little bit as well after that bye. We know the offensive stats went up after the bye as well. So, those are the metrics as to how they match up here. But how do you see this Kansas City offense matching up against this Tampa Bay defense?
Well, I guess kind of the key matchup and the one that I'm sure everyone will talk about is the offensive versus defensive line. 4 out of 5 backup starters for Kansas City on the offensive line against a defensive line with four very good players: Vita Vea back, and Ndamukong Suh, JPP, and Shaq Barrett. And you would assume that the Bucs will play. They will rush 4 and they will play cover 2. 2 deep behind it. And they will assume they can stop the run with, just 6 in the box anyway. And I think they probably will be able to. So, I think we're going to see a lot of pass attempts from the Chiefs. I don't think they'll even try to run for the first 3 quarters. In the first game between these two, it was the Chiefs' most pass-heavy game of the year. They were about 90% passing in neutral situations there. Although, to be fair, the neutral situation didn't last long because by the end of the first quarter, the Chiefs were 90% to win the game.
Right.
Yeah, I expect a lot more of the same, a lot more passing. So back to that key matchup. If any other quarterback in the world, any other scheme, you would say, yeah, it's going to matter. But I think Reed with 2 weeks to prepare and Mahomes can nullify that, and they will still move the ball. There'll be motion, there'll be screens, there'll be rolling out of the pocket. Just everything that can nullify a pass rush will be done. Mm-hmm. And then even if we talked about this against the Bills, even if you do get a free rusher, even if you win within 2.5 seconds against your left tackle, and Mahomes can just jump out of the way, or he'll do that thing where he drops back 15 yards. He's just skipping backwards down the field, and then he throw it up anyway. So I think we have. In the NFL generally, the analytics will tell you excellent offense will conquer all. That excellent defense will get beaten by excellent offense. And I think we have 2 excellent units, but one is kind of generational. One is the best, one of the best units we've ever seen, possibly the best unit we've ever seen. And I don't really see the Bucs slowing them down too much.
So you look on the Bucs and their defense. They blitzed at the 5th highest rate in the NFL. So we know that they love to blitz, but I kind of think this is a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation with them, because if you take a look at how Patrick Mahomes performs against the blitz, he is one of the very best quarterbacks in all the NFL against the blitz. And I think a lot of that has to do with the play calling and the scheme that they run on the offensive side of the ball, where most plays have multiple options, right? Like a lot. It seems like the Chiefs pass just a massive amount, but really they're running a lot of RPOs that Patrick Mahomes just doesn't ever really hand the ball off, right? Like he always is pulling it out and he's always throwing it. But a lot of these looks and a lot of these plays are multiple, and so I kind of expect, like you're saying, like I expect them to have a game plan for, okay, if they're blitzing us a lot, we'll start running this playbook. If they are trying to just get home with the front four, and if they have success getting home with the front four, then we start running these type of plays. If they are not, and Patrick Mahomes has all day to throw in the pocket, well, then we know what he's going to do anyway. So that's not even really anything that they have to really scheme for. If you get Patrick Mahomes all day and you've got Tyreek Hill and you've got Travis Kelce and you've got these other guys that run 4.3s, then it's going to be bad news for you. So I do expect them to have kind of a miniature game plan ready to go for all three of those scenarios. And so, I'm not all that worried about whether the Bucs are going to be blitz heavy or whether they're not, how they go about all that, because I do expect Andy Reid and company to really have a plan for whatever style of defense that the Bucs decide that they're going to play in this game.
Yeah, I mean, you can slice and dice like Mahomes versus this coverage, cover 2, cover 1, blitz, whatever, and he's elite against whatever you're going to do. As we say, I do expect them to rush 4 and drop people behind it, double Tyreek, double Kelce, and go from there. Make them beat you 10 times rather than
right.
get beat once over the top like they did in the first game. So. Yeah, but like you say, I don't think it matters. I think they're so good it doesn't matter, and they have a plan for everything.
So let's take a look at the Tampa Bay offense versus the Kansas City defense. If we're looking at just, again, the advanced metrics, and then we'll go kind of give you our thoughts on what we think will play out. Tampa Bay offense was actually one of the better offenses on the entire year. I know that maybe it flew a little bit under the radar, but number 3 overall DVOA offense, number 6 overall offense according to Pro Football Focus. It was the number 5 offense, number 5 pass offense DVOA, the number 10 rush offense DVOA, the number 2 pass offense according to Pro Football Focus, the number 11 rush offense according to Pro Football Focus. One of the other things that was really good about this Tampa Bay team, as we know, Tom Brady, immobile as they come, can't run out of sight in half an hour even if he tried, but they were number 4 overall in pressure allowed. They were number 3 overall in adjusted sack rate, which if he's not under pressure, he's not having to try and avoid being sacked or anything like that. He's not having to do those Tom Brady self-sacks where he just collapses in the pocket because he doesn't want to take any chances whatsoever. So this line kept him protected very, very well all season long, and something that we'll be monitoring, early on in this game is, will the Chiefs be able to get the type of pressure on Tom Brady that they were able to get on Josh Allen? It seemed like Josh Allen was running for his life every single time he dropped back in that AFC Championship game. And I actually listened, Brad, to one of the Bills offensive linemen on one of the radio programs this past week, and what he was talking about that the Chiefs did in that game, which I can only imagine they will also try to do in this one, is he said they started moving the pieces around to where what we saw on film wasn't recognizable to us as to what was happening and what was going on. So we had in mind of what it looked like when they were going to blitz, or when they were going to run this defense, or when they were going to run that defense. But they would take a big guy and they would move him out and replace him with like Tyrann Mathieu, or move Tyrann Mathieu to a different place and move this guy over here. So they were disguising these blitzes and these different coverage looks because they were just moving the pieces around from what they had done all season long. So there was no way for the offensive line to just eyeball it and go, oh, okay, guys, this is what we saw on film. They were doing this, and whatever, because they moved the chess pieces around, which I think is which I think is brilliant, which I also believe is why we saw as much pressure on Josh Allen as we did, because again, this offensive lineman for the Bills was saying we were just confused. Like, we didn't know what they were coming with because they did so much mixing and matching. And so that all is a big preface into some of these advanced stats that we're going to get from this Chiefs defense. I think maybe, for a season long look, maybe are not as applicable in this game, but we'll give them to you anyway. The number 22 overall DVOA defense, number 18 overall PFF defense. They were 16th against the pass according to DVOA, 13th against the pass according to PFF. This is where the numbers really jump off the page, is the rush defense. PFF has them at 23rd in the league. DVOA has them at 31st in the league. Run stop win rate, 26th in the league, 22nd in tackling. If you look down, 32nd rush red zone defense, which would be dead last, of course, in the league. So there are a lot of very low scores here, Brad, when it comes to this Chiefs defense when we look at the overall grand picture. But I think maybe, like this offense, where we say, though, we expect a bunch of wrinkles and we expect them to change things up, I think maybe this defense as well, that Spags maybe has started to, I'm not going to say open the different playbook, but maybe he has started to look at some of his old bag of tricks.
Yeah, I love this angle. I think this is the kind of key angle of the game. I think the Chiefs' defense is the most underrated unit here, and it's for exactly the reason you just said. Like, what you can see a little bit with the Chiefs this year on defense is that they run some of their exotic blitzes and exotic coverages in the first half, and then in the second half, when they're up 17-3 like they were against the Bucs, then they just start trotting out cover two. And yeah, they come back, so the numbers look bad. But Spagnuolo, he is, he's dialing up literally everything he's got. Now we're in the playoffs. So just over the last 2 weeks, they would have been the best NFL. They would have been the best defense in the NFL by DVOA, based on the numbers they did against the Bills and the Browns, who, two top 8 offenses there. And I think it was Nate Tice at The Athletic, former NFL backup quarterback. He was saying Spagnuolo is a perfect playoff coordinator because he's no longer worried about putting anything on tape and saving his best coverages. He'll just dial up random stuff that you've never seen before, like the Bills' offensive lineman was saying, which is interesting. We've got to that from two different angles, and yeah, it confuses teams. Now, obviously, remember Super Bowl against the Giants. 10 years ago now, it was Spagnuolo versus Brady, that famous upset, and he confused him then because he's got 2 weeks to prepare various exotic blitzes, and I think that kind of that idea is that I think the 2 week break favours the Chiefs a lot. It's on this side of the ball, it's Spagnuolo versus Arians, but again, what you'll hear about Arians is he's going to run his stuff. He runs his plays, and that's it. Whereas Spagnuolo, as I've just said, he's very game plan specific. He's very team specific. And then it's similar for Andy Reid and Todd Bowles. Again, Todd Bowles, they run their stuff, whereas Andy Reid he'll cook up all sorts. So I do think the extra time favours the Chiefs on both sides of the ball.
So I actually think that this matchup, I keep hearing a ton about the Chiefs front four the Chiefs offensive line going up against the Bucs front four is kind of like the most interesting matchup in this game. And I actually think it is going to be the offensive line of the Bucs going up against the Chiefs defense, to me, is the most interesting matchup in the entire game here. Because listen, you and I both said when we were breaking down the other side of this, even under pressure, I'm still backing Patrick Mahomes, right? Like, I still like what Patrick Mahomes can do, even if he is getting pressured and even if he is, having to take a sack here or there. What I'm not really super encouraged about is if Tom Brady is under pressure a ton, and if Tom Brady is getting hit, and if Tom Brady is taking sacks and stuff like that. I actually think that is the real big turning point, the real big, most interesting matchup here to me in this game, and probably the way that this game swings the biggest. Because again, look, Brady was great all season long. He's not been great in the last 2 playoff games. Is there correlation between the competition being better whenever you're playing, in playoff games? Maybe there is a correlation there as well. But one thing that we can't deny, even if it was just maybe it was 2 off games for him, one thing we can't deny is the fact that he has no mobility whatsoever. There is no such thing as escaping the pocket for Tom Brady. There's no such thing as Tom Brady making, a play with a guy draped on his shoulder, because he never even allows it to get to that point. When he feels that first touch on him, he just hits the ground. And so if the Chiefs are able to do even at let's call it even a 60% level of what they were able to do against Josh Allen and the Bills, I think this could be a very, very long day for the Bucs, and maybe even a chance for this game to somewhat get out of hand.
Yep. Oh, yep. Strong agree. So just to put some numbers on that, so Brady under pressure ranked 30th out of 36 quarterbacks this year in DVOA. When blitzed, he went from fourth in EPA per play without the blitz down to 19th in EPA when blitzed. And as we've just gone through, he's going to get blitzed a lot. Like Kansas City are happy to man up on the outside, and they send the most cover zero blitzes in the entire NFL. And we've seen it all year long. Like we saw against Green Bay. If there's a free blitzer or someone wins quickly, Brady will just chuck it up. He's not interested in getting hit at 43 years old. So I do think that's kind of the most underrated mismatch of this game.
All right, so let's talk about ways that the Chiefs win the game. Like, what is the game script for the Chiefs to win the game? What is the game script for the Bucs to win the game? Kicking things off with the Chiefs. So when we look back at the box score on Monday, you'll be able to look and you'll say, like, okay, the Chiefs won this game because what?
Patrick Mahomes was Patrick Mahomes. So one thing I wanted to mention earlier actually was that there's this question is, have the Chiefs been saving their good plays on offense? Or are they actually the fifth ranked DVOA offense as we've seen this year, or are they kind of this all time offense, which I think people kind of think they are? And I would say, so you look over the last 2 years, the three best offensive outputs by EPA per play all came in the playoffs, which suggests to me that they are saving the good plays. Mahomes on hold on, I'm gonna have to find this stat. Basically, he's the best. He's led the Chiefs to the highest percentage of touchdown drives of any playoff quarterback ever, by about 15%. He's at like 48. Next best is 33 or something. So, yeah, basically, I do believe that they are saving the good plays, and I also believe they're saving the good plays on defense. So, for them to win the game, I think they just do that. They do what they did against the Bills. They do what they did against the Browns. They do what they did last year's playoffs. They just give the ball to Tyreek and Kelsey and unleash the blitz, and that's just the recipe to win.
I think on the Bucs side of things, if we look back and we're like, okay, the Bucs won the game, and here's why they won the game. I think a couple of different things. One, I think it's almost imperative for them to win the turnover battle, even if it's just 1-0, whatever it might be. Getting an extra possession and taking a possession away from the Chiefs is certainly going to be something that I can see it leads to a path to victory here for this Bucs team. I think the other side of the ball is we've talked about Brady, we haven't talked about his either run game really, and I think that a path to success for this Bucs team would be if they're able to run the ball successfully. And of course, if you're doing that, one, it bleeds the clock, as we know. Two, if there is a weakness on this Chiefs team, it would be their run defense. And then on top of that, if you're running the ball and if you're bleeding the clock and if you're continuing to just move the chains methodically, you're also keeping Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelsey on the sideline, and they're not running up and down the field and scoring points on you. So I do believe that, if we look back at the box score on Monday and the Bucs have won this game, I believe that it's going to be a winning turnover margin for this team and some sort of run game success. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean Leonard Fournette's going to run for 150 yards. That's not what I'm saying. But, just being able to have some sort of run success on the ground, being able to extend drives, and being able to keep Mahomes and company over on the sideline, I think is probably what we will see play out here, I think, if the Bucs win this game.
Again, I agree exactly. So I think it's got to be, I think Mike Remmers is going to be left tackle this time, and you might have seen the memes or the GIFs floating around from the Broncos-Panthers Super Bowl in 2015 where he gave up a couple of strip sacks to Von Miller. So I think, they need that. The Bucs need one or two of them where they get the ball, strip him, and suddenly they're automatic red zone possession. So I would say they get a lead like that, and then they are running the ball very effectively, 6 yards a carry, and then the Chiefs are forced to commit more men to the box because they can't just let you run 6 yards a carry while they're behind, and then you can start hitting them with play action over the top. That's how they win the game. But that all that is all reliant on not getting your head caved in by the Kansas City script and stuff. You need to play from ahead in this game. Like, I think if they fall behind and Spagnuolo, it's 3rd and 8 and you're down 14 and there's blitzes coming at you from like the slot and stuff, I think they're in real trouble. However good Brady has been at bringing his team back in the past. So yeah, I think they need to play from ahead and, as you say, get some turnovers.
I would also add to that, just as this is not from a actual on-field stat or anything, but Arians also needs to be aggressive in this game. Like we cannot have these 4th and 2 punts from the 45 or something or anything like that. If he's not going to be aggressive in this game, then I think the Bucs are going to have no chance as well. So that's another reason. That's another thing that I'll be looking for kind of early on here. If Arians is whether he's going to be aggressive or not. Case. Oh, what's that?
Sorry, I was going to say it's tricky as well though, because we do think they probably need to run the ball. They probably do need to run the ball, but you don't want them to be running on 1st and 2nd down and then get into 3rd and 5 and beyond. So it is going to be tricky for them. They probably just need to be very, very efficient running the ball, which is no guarantee. Because Chris Jones is very good up front for a start. So it's a dilemma for them. Yeah.
So let's make the case for the over and a case for the under. I'll fully admit I do not have a total ticket in my account yet. If this thing continues to fall, maybe I will. Maybe I'll come in on the over. But a case for the over for me, Brad, is just the fact that, listen, I lean more like you. I lean towards more that this Kansas City offense is more like one of the very elite that we've ever seen, as opposed to just an awesome offense. And so I expect no matter what they get thrown at them, that they're going to have success in scoring. And, do I think that this is going to be a replay of a lot of games that happen with Kansas City throughout the course of the season? I don't think that they'll just completely sit back. But at the same time, I do believe that there is a couple of different scenarios that play out here where they do at least soften up on the defense because they have gotten out to a lead. And I do believe that the Bucs will be able to move the ball and put in, maybe take advantage of a couple of those opportunities. The other thing is, and that kind of bleeds back into the last comment that I just made, is, look, this is a Super Bowl, right? I mean, there's nothing left after this game. You're not holding anybody back. You're not holding any plays back. You're not worried about what people say if you go for a 4th down or things like that, because you got to move the ball, you got to score. And if you're down, that's just the way that you've got to play. And so, also, I think the aggressiveness of both coaches is also a thing that plays in towards the over in this thing, because, again, I don't believe the Bucs are going to win by punting on 4th and 2s and things like that at midfield and whatever. Like, they're going to need to be aggressive. And if you get it, then you extend the drive and you go down and score points. If you don't get it, you're giving Patrick Mahomes the ball at midfield, right? So that leads towards an over as well with all of this. So I think aggressiveness also from both aspects can lead towards an over in this thing.
Yeah, like you, I've not bet over or under here. So yeah, I'd say there are a couple of paths to the over. I mean, one, we expect the Chiefs to be throwing it 80-90% of the time on early downs, which is obviously favourable for the over. Stopped clocks, more turnovers, more sacks, more explosive plays you would expect. And another route is what is, I would say, the same way the Bucs win the game, is that they get ahead early and the Chiefs just throw 100%, and then the play action game starts working for the Bucs and they start running downhill. I think that would be a favourable game state for the over. It's also worth noting the first game, 51 points, but there was like 900 yards of passing. That was a dead nut over game. That should never have gone under. There was red zone turnovers, 4th and 1 punts just over midfield. The only way that game could have gone under was the way it did. So we've already seen these teams move the ball very efficiently on each other, so you shouldn't be surprised if that happens again.
So let's say we're opening up the box score on Monday, and this is a 27-20 game, and it stays well under here. What is the path to the under in this thing?
To me, it's Spagnuolo blitzing the hell out of Brady. It's Chris Jones wrecking that backup right guard, Aaron Tinney, something like that. I forgot his name. Anyway, he's a backup right guard, and Chris Jones is basically only behind Aaron Donald among interior NFL pass rushers. So that's a huge mismatch, which should have mentioned earlier. It's and then sticky coverage on the outside from on the Bucs receivers. So it's them not moving the ball, and then it's probably the Chiefs, getting. Not holding up that well up front, giving up a few early sacks and being forced to punt. So again, there's a path there, but I don't have an opinion on it. you can see both of those happening, can't you?
Yeah, I guess for me on the under is a couple of things we talked about that we would need to happen for the over. Like if for whatever reason Arians just does play this thing super conservatively, and like we said, like is very inefficient in the way that they run this offense and is not aggressive at all. And to get to an over when we're talking about 56, you need both parties to participate here. So I think a path to that would be just that the Bucs don't do their part, right? I mean, like that the Chiefs could score 35 in this game or 38 in this game, and the Bucs just don't do anything. They score 10 or 13 or something, and we look up and we go, wow, they just completely got neutralized on offense. And, because they were running, like you were saying, run, pass. Like you run on early downs and then they know you're going to throw on third and you're not able to convert, and then you punt the ball away. And so I think that is also a path for the under. I do also believe, though, if the Bucs have a ton of success running the ball, which like we think that's probably their best path to victory, then that could lead to an under game as well. And with that, I would say if you are a Bucs backer, I would probably lean more to the under, and if I was a Chiefs backer, I would lean more to the over. Do you think that's fair as far as like how this game plays out?
Not necessarily, because I can see the Chiefs kind of taking the air out of the ball. I think if the Chiefs are forced to pass, if they're behind and they say they don't cover, but they're going to be effective. Like they're never in Mahomes' career have they not been effective passing the ball. Whereas I can see the Bucs not being effective at all. So the Chiefs could cover, but then it would go under. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Am I on the right page?
Yeah. I guess what I should have said is if you favor the Bucs, I would think you would also favor the under, because I think you would want an inefficient offensive performance game, maybe an ugly game, maybe a sloppy game. I think a Bucs win is more favorable to an under game playing out. Maybe I should have said it that way.
Yeah, I'll probably disagree, to be honest. I think they have to score 35 to win this. I don't think they're getting it done with 28 on. I don't think they're holding the Chiefs to 20. So I think they have to win a shootout, personally.
So we went over a props bet, all of our prop bets, and there's a separate video for that on the YouTube channel if you guys are just getting this. But I do want to go over our three favorite real quick, just to put it out there. Brad, what were the three favorite ones that you made? Of course, again, we have a full list. There's a video up on YouTube, so go ahead and you can check out the whole thing. But what were the three favorite? What are the ones as soon as you made them, or the ones that now that they've been in there a little bit and they've been simmering a little bit, that you're like, okay, I really like this?
Yeah, the one I keep coming back to is Kelsey stuff. Mm-hmm. A lot of the books you can bet Kelsey 100 yards and a touchdown, or Kelsey to get 150 yards. Mm-hmm. I basically like all pro Kelsey stuff. As we've discussed, I think they're going to play a lot of cover 2, try not to get burnt deep, and against the Bills did that, and I think Kelsey went for 15 receptions, something like that. So I think that's just well within the range of outcomes. So Kelsey stuff is one I liked. Another one I liked was, I don't think we did talk about, was Tyreek over 5.5 rush yards. I bet that at Bet365. Basically, again, we don't think they're going to be able to run the ball in the traditional manner. And in your biggest game, you want the ball in Tyreek's hands because he's just the fastest player on the pitch, fastest player on the field. So yeah, I like that one, and the PFF prop tool said that at about 15% edge as well. And then I've also bet Kansas City rushing yards under. I saw about 90.5, but I'll probably bet that down to about 85.5. If you can see that again, based on how we see the game playing out.
Yeah, my three favorite, one is a Kelsey as well. I like Kelsey over 7.5 receptions. I really, really, really love that bet. Again, same deal. Like, he is a safety valve. He is also a playmaker, and he is also a guy that understands. Him and Patrick Mahomes have such good rapport. If Patrick Mahomes gets under pressure, if Patrick Mahomes is flushed, anything like that, we've seen time and time again. Kelsey understands how to cut off a route. He understands how to come back and ask for the ball. He understands how to go and find a hole in his zone and all that. So it would not surprise me to see Kelsey get 14, 15 targets in this game. And with that, I feel very comfortable with the over 7.5 receptions. The other, I really like this Brady over half a yard rushing at plus money. I mean, it's plus 145 on Brady for to get 1 yard rushing. Obviously you've heard over the course of this, I'm on the Chiefs, and so I don't expect Tom Brady to be kneeling down at the end of the game. So I don't expect that the yard might get taken away. And we know Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback sneaker of all time. If there is a 3rd and 1 or a 4th and 1 that is a dire situation for this team, they're not going to be handing the ball off to Lenny. It is going to be Tom Brady doing what he does with the quarterback sneak. And we just need one successful attempt on that in order to get the over of a half a yard. And again, you're getting plus 145. I mean, that's the big thing for me, is you're getting really good plus money on it as well. So, hey, if the Bucs have the lead at the end of the game, Tom Brady kneels down and we lose this bet, then that's doesn't play out how I thought the game was going to play out. But really do like the over half a yard rushing for him as well. And then the other, I think the other one, the more and more that I keep looking at this is I really do like this under Darrell Williams rushing props and stuff. Like I am of full belief that, one, they rode Clyde Edwards-Helaire early in the year when he was healthy, and I see no reason why, if they do want to run the ball here, why they would really, try to force feed Darrell Williams carries. I don't believe that that's going to be the scenario. And also, like we said, I believe that they pass a ton. I just believe that this is 8 out of every 10 snaps could be a pass attempt in this game. And so under Darrell Williams on rushing yards are my 3 favorite prop bets in this thing as well. All right, Brad, let's close things out here. Let's wrap it on up. Side, total, money line, thoughts on all 3, whether you have them in your account or not.
Yep. So I do have some Kansas City -3. I've got some essentially Kansas City money line via some futures. But as you pointed out earlier, you get a little bargain on that as well. You might get -150 come game day. And I think that's a superb bet as well, given the Chiefs haven't really lost a meaningful game for a couple of years now, really. And then I quite like the Bucs team total under 26.5. Again, just given what we've spoken about, I quite like that one. And Bucs team total first half under 13.5 as well is another one you can get at if you like Brady to start slow, as he has done in his other 9 Super Bowls.
Yep, on the side here, I am on Chiefs a ton, -3. I actually think that this game could get out of hand. I played some alt lines a little bit there, Brad, since last we talked. I played 6.5 on the Chiefs as well, so I keep it under that key number of 7, but I'd played some Chiefs -6.5 as well at plus money on that. I do believe that this game could get out of hand. I played a little bit of a sprinkle on 9.5 as well. So Chiefs -9.5 to keep it under that 10. But, you're getting nearly 2.5 to 1 on your money for the Chiefs -9.5. So I have 3, 6.5, and 9.5 in the account. As far as the total, like we said, I have no play. I would hold either an over ticket or pass, but don't think I'm going to get there on the total. As far as the money line goes, it'll be the same deal. I'm going to wait until about an hour or two before kickoff, which tends to present value during the Super Bowl. Most of the time, the general public, the casual bettors, want to put a little bit to win a lot. They play the dog on the money line, and with that, you end up getting value on the favorite on the money line as well. So I think this thing continues to tick down. As we said, it's already at -159 at DraftKings, where this was sitting at 175, 173 even just a few days ago. So it's starting to happen already, and we haven't even seen the bulk of the public money come in yet. So that's how I'm going to be playing this game. Of course, as we mentioned, we have a bunch of prop bets as well. That's in another video on the page, but I can't believe it's here, Brad. I'm already starting to feel the sadness set in, because I know whenever we wake up on Monday, we won't be breaking down the next week's football games. It's all over after this week.
Yeah, I imagine it's how, you always hear about comedians or rock stars, like after a big tour, they come home and it's just right. I don't want to think about Monday. Just emptiness till baseball season starts.
I know. I'm trying not to think about it myself. But if you want to follow Brad at Brad Allen NFL, you want to follow me at Matt Brown M2. And if you're watching this on the YouTube page, of course, hit that subscribe button down below. Give us a thumbs up on this thing, and then let us know in the comment section how you are going to be playing this game, where we went wrong. Tell me and Brad we're idiots, or tell us we're geniuses. Either one. We can take it. We can handle it. Let us know what's going on with you guys. For Brad, I'm Matt. talk to you guys next season.